Hi everyone, I am Styleboy, and today on the 21st of July, the day I'm filming this, not only is the Barbie movie coming out, and yes, I'm gonna watch it, I'm also going to Swiftageddon. So basically, I'm having a thriving time, which explains why this outfit's like part Swiftageddon, which is like the red, because it's Loving Him was red, and the pink pastel floral shirt because it's Barbie. And guess what both of those things are? Specialized interests. You are correct. 10 points whoever like got that correct.
You can catch me in Vegas, catch me in Tokyo, catch me on a dick tryna ride like a rodeo. I'm a riding hood. You can eat me like a middle red riding hood.
So basically in this video I want to talk about specialized interests and hyperfixations because I know that so many of us neurodivergent people kind of go through hyperfixations, specialized interests, but I feel like no one's spoken about it. So let us sit down and speak about it right now. So firstly, what is a specialized interest? So I'll try and find like an official definition here, but the way I would describe a specialized interest is almost like an intense passion and joy for a certain topic, theme, and thing in general. It can be literally anything. It's just, for a lot of neurodivergent people, it's something where someone is so engrossed and so passionate. It can bring, oftentimes I've noticed that it brings people joy and so much serotonin makes them feel good or makes them feel safe. And that's what I've noticed, and that's why later on I'll explain why it ends up becoming a coping mechanism. But honestly, I love specialized interests and I think they are essential for us as neurodivergent people to embrace. I've had plenty of specialized interests. Let me just list a few for you. Pingu, My Sims, Taylor Swift, fashion, Animal Crossing, Hamilton, Big Now, Taylor's version, Noddy, makeup, skincare, Luca, YouTube, Miley Cyrus, Zoella, Polyvore, and literally so many more. These were just like the first ones that came into my head. And something I do have to say about specialized interests is that some of them can be long term and end up being like basically for the whole of your life. And some of them can be short, like a month or 2 or 3. And they honestly do depend. For example, from some of the lists I just said, some of my shorter term specialized interests would be, for example, like Speak Now, Taylor's version, My Sims, Hamilton, editing me here. I still love all these things now, and Speak Now, Taylor version is literally one of my favorite albums. Of course, I love it, and I love Hamilton so much. But that intense specialized interest, passion, and joy, that intensity is not exactly there. Like, for example, I can listen to other music that isn't Speak Now, Taylor's version, and I can watch another musical that isn't Hamilton. But when they came out, it was the only thing I was listening to and the only thing I was watching. Versus ones that end up being lifelong and a lot more longer, and they're the ones I enjoyed more now. So, for example, like fashion, music, pop culture, Taylor Swift, and even like makeup, for example, like they're all long term and they've literally lasted for ages and ages. But also at the same time, long term doesn't mean like the whole of your life. It can also be stuff like longer term but not fully, such as like Animal Crossing. Like that was a specialized interest for like, I want to say maybe like 2 years. And I just want to say that no matter what length it is completely valid. And I think to recognize and to appreciate that all specialized interests can be super short and super long. I can also imagine some people being in the audience like, oh, in the audience, like this is a theatre show. Thank you very much. Okay, so what's the difference between like a specialized interest and just a general interest? To me, what I've kind of noticed is that a specialized interest is something where like I can really dive in deep with it, like really going deep. I want to spend ages talking about it and constantly wanting to bring up facts about it. Like I'll watch stuff about it, I'll see edits, and I'll just be so kind of engrossed into that conversation and into that world of it. And with interest, it's like, yes, we want to talk about them, yes, we want to bring them up, but it's not the same as a specialized interest. We still love our interests, don't worry. But to me, like an interest, for example, would be like going to the gym. Like I like going to the gym, I enjoy going, but I wouldn't say like, oh, that's a specialized interest. That's just an interest. Compared to something like makeup, where like I can really get into deep about it and talk about like looks and products and all that stuff and how much I want to try stuff and how exciting it is. That to me, that's more of a specialized interest. Now, another thing as the audience, I can't even say that. Like, another thing that would come up is that what's the difference between a hyperfixation and a specialized interest? I did some research and this is what I've concluded. A specialized interest is mainly associated with people who are autistic, and a hyperfixation is associated to those who have ADHD. More hyperfixations, though not always, tend to be shorter-lived, and though not always, specialized interests tend to be longer lived, and they're both kind of for like similar purposes, as in they can both be healthy and be helpful to neurodivergent people, But hyperfixations are often help with the dopamine in their brain and can generate it, from my understanding, versus specialized interest, which can often help soothe it, like soothe our brain and give us comfort. I'm gonna put a link in the description to an article by a person who has ADHD and is autistic, describing what both are, so definitely go and read that. You can have anything, can be a specialized interest. It can be animals like sharks and dolphins and turtles. It can be music like 1970s rock to current day pop. It can be books like the current book you're reading, movies. It can be fashion. It can be anything can be a specialized interest. And I think that's something that we should all embrace, because I think there's so many great things with specialized interests that should be embraced into our society. Because when it comes to specialized interests, one pro of it is that it can actually lead us to do a job that we are highly satisfied and highly excited and looking forward to doing. And actually something that we're very, very good in. And because we know what to look for, it can be a really, really good thing. It can also be a form of self-care, to be honest. Like, I know that sometimes at the end of a really stressful day, or at the end of the day where I've been like masking all day, or that I've been around loads of social environments and I am just so exhausted, I know that sometimes the best thing to do is to just watch a bunch of Disney movies with my lights on. Disney is one of my specialized interests, so for me to watch Disney movies like that, I feel just so at peace, and honestly brings me such a sense of comfort and joy and warmth. And it can be used as self-care, and it can also be used as a way to validate us. I feel like having people in our lives that also have very similar specialized interests, or even just like interest in some things that we love, it can be really validating and make us feel more whole and complete. I know I do. Having people I can talk about pop culture and music and stuff like that makes me feel so seen and validated and loved, honestly. Because when I was younger, I didn't have those people around. Especially in my teen years, I had people who were the antithesis of that. Like people who weren't interested and even at some point would shut me down because of it. And yeah, I can get that sometimes we info dump. It makes us just feel so seen and heard, and for people to ignore us about that, it just sucks. Honestly, just allow us to be ourselves with our interests, to info dump and to talk about it and to get into such an extreme passion and joy and bring us our spark. I know that Chloe Hayden's different or less talks about this, but honestly it's so true. When you have that spark, that ignition, that joy with something, take it and enjoy it, because at the end of the day, like, specialized interests make you who you are today. That is the end of this week's video. I really do hope you enjoy this, and next week I think is the longer week video, so be excited because I'm very, very excited to do this. I'll see y'all next week. Bye!